The dumbest conspiracy theories. Let's lock in. Let's go.
Conspiracy theories. The best way to make dumb people feel smart since the invention of Adderall. And let's be clear here, I'm not going to be talking smack about this cute little world of conspiracy believers. Much like every person in the Silksong subreddit before this.
Quickly in the chat, what is the conspiracy theory that you 100% believe in? Like, there's no way somebody can tell you otherwise. It is 100% true to you. My one is the one that a lot of people have, of course. It's so obvious, but I don't think we landed on the moon. I think we sent rockets up there, but I don't think we ever landed on the moon. There are loads and loads of conspiracy theories about this and loads of reasons why we didn't. But for me, personally, it's the technology. Like currently, in 2026, Elon Musk, whether you hate him or like him, is struggling to send a rocket up into space. Just up into space at the moment with all his money. And you're telling me that the US government managed to come up with enough money to do multiple successful moon missions and one of them landing on the moon. Forget about the flag waving and there not being any gravity on the moon. It's the technology. I can't remember what year it was that we landed on the moon, but we'd only been driving cars for 20, 30, 40 years before that. It doesn't make sense. And the fact that we can't replicate it now says everything we need to know.
Weekend, I too want to believe. I mean, have you seen the world right now? No bueno, senorita. It's bad. It would be so cool if there was something else that I could, like, dump my mental abilities into, instead of staring at my Twitter feed and hoping for certain government buildings to I don't know if we can include that, but I do that. But there's just one problem I'm coming across with conspiracy theories right now, and that is that they're dumb. They're big dumb. Big stupid dumb hour. I hate them, they make me mad. That's not to say that all conspiracy theories are dumb. I've talked about some cool ones in the past. Them's are
flat earth. I mean, I don't know how you can still think that the earth is flat. If you really thought the earth was flat, try walking or traveling from one end to the other without looping back around. How many times were you dropped on your head to believe that?
Some legit Stevens, legit, I can't think of a better name for like legit, a nickname, like Debbie Downer, legit Leroy's. I don't know. All conspiracy theories come from the same root, the same basis, but man, just some conspiracy theories are so much stupider than the other ones. Like on one hand, we have MK Ultra, a government brainwashing use of drugs that made people go crazy, and that is almost 100% proven to be real. And then on the other hand, we have the constantly debunked theory that the government controls the weather. So going into the world of conspiracy theory.
So I'm not sure about the US, but in Dubai, they do control the weather. The government in Dubai does control the weather. This isn't a conspiracy theory. This is actually like known. You can Google it. It gets so hot in Dubai, but they want lots of tourism. So they send up jets or fighter jets or something like that. They do flyovers around Dubai and it ends up causing cloud coverage and rain. It causes slight rain and moisture in the clouds, and then it cools down Dubai. And they do this to help with the economy because they want lots of tourists. I'm like 98% sure that's true. The more I say it, it sounds more unreal. Check it for me.
You have to ask yourself the question, okay, how much am I willing to turn my brain off for a little bit to heavily enjoy a lie that's being told to me? Because I'll be honest, I love believing in lies. Oh my god, is it so much fucking fun to believe in lies. Whether it be small town gossip, some ruckus of close-up magic, it's all fun, baby. It's fun to pretend. And it's the same with dumb conspiracy theories too. They make the world just a little bit more fun, a little bit funner, if you will. Like the urban legend that 80s heartthrob Richard Gere stuck an entire gerbil up his. Actually, YouTube won't let me tell you where he stuck that gerbil. So whether it's because we're actually gullible enough to believe them, or we just think they're so stupid that they're funny, we love sharing dumb lies with each other, giving.
He's not wrong. I mean, some of them are ridiculous. Some you're like, you're on the borderline. You're like, it could be true. It might not be true, but you would just prefer it to be true because it makes life a bit more interesting. Apparently, Selena Gomez isn't the same person that she was before. She apparently is not with us anymore, and they've got a different person being Selena Gomez. Same with, who's the skater, singer, what's her name? Avril Lavigne. The idea that Avril Lavigne doesn't look or sound like how she used to is kind of weird, and it's something that does seem so stupid and unbelievable that I kind of want to believe it.
Birth to the lowest level of hearsay and rumors. So get ready, Tuglets, because not even tinfoil hats will save you from the stupidity of these extra stupid conspiracies. That was hard to say. All right, so to begin, we're going to start off with conspiracies that I like to categorize as just lies. straight up lies. You know, the ones you hear the top line bit of and your brain involuntarily says, oh, a lie. You just lied to me to my face. But as dumb as these lies are, and trust me, brain cell killing, huffing glue levels of lying, maybe, just maybe, with my pea brain and very low level intellect, I could find myself on board the train. All right, up first of these conspiracy theories is that Finland doesn't exist. These are gonna be really hard now that I think about it. This one.
What? I've been to Finland. I've been to Helsinki a few times. What?
Comes to us courtesy of, oh God, it's the Soviet Union. It's been a while, guys. I'm really trying to get away from it. There's just no escape from the Cold War. I put it on my merch. I mean, at this point, it all goes back to the Soviets. But according to this theory, Japan and the Soviet Union spread the lie that Finland rests between the USSR and Sweden, when in reality, there is no landmass there at all. But why would they conspire to make us think that Finland doesn't exist? Apparently, it's because the fishing in that area is really, really good, and they wanted it all for themselves. You know, your grandpa's secret fishing spot that, you know, he doesn't want anyone to go to? That's what they were doing, but on a geopolitical scale. Japan agreed to participate in the ruse in exchange for the right to fish there without worrying about international laws. And it goes even further. The Trans-Siberian Orchestra...
We are being controlled and coerced by all of our governments. All of our governments and leaders are telling us things that are untrue to coerce us. Some things are very small, some things are larger. With time, we will find these things out because they always come to the surface. But there are things happening right now which you are being told is true that are actually untrue, and you are being told that some things don't exist when they do exist. We are constantly being manipulated. That is the truth.
The Trans-Siberian Railway was built in order to help transport all of those fish to Asia. And once the fish got to Russia's east coast via railway, they would then be shipped to Japan under the guise of being Nokia products, which is why Japan was the #1 importer of Nokia products for much of the 20th century, which is crazy. It's crazy that Nokia phones are attached to Soviet-level lies about
Nokia.
Finland. Of course, there's one pretty big issue here, the 5.6 million people who call Finland home and the country's 4 million annual visitors. But that's easily explained. You see, the people visiting Finland just think they're visiting Finland. In reality, anyone who lives in or visits Finland is just in a remote forested area in Sweden, Estonia, or Russia. Now, does that all sound crazy? Of course it does. The number of people who would have to be involved in this conspiracy is a bit high. It's a bit above average. From airline pilots to map makers to all those Finnish celebrities like Bjork, was she Finnish? It would be truly wild if the secret stayed a secret for nearly half a century. So how exactly did this conspiracy theory start to spread? Well, the internet. Every thing comes from the internet, you guys know that. In 2015, a Redditor posted this theory in a thread asking users what lies parents taught them as a child. So they laid out the Finland conspiracy, one that they willingly admit they don't believe, and it caught fire online. There's even a Finland conspiracy subreddit with over 43,000 contributors, or subscribers, whatever Reddit's doing. Now, I will say lying to children is very, very funny, almost every single time. But with the advent of the internet, you gotta realize that when you lie to people, you're reaching some of the most mouth-breathing basement dwellers on Earth. So it's kind of dangerous. Funny jokes become misinformation really fast. So maybe we'll pause on believing that one because it's kind of hard to, it's so stupid. But then there's Australia, a country that exists and is larger than the United States. And there's a conspiracy that it doesn't exist. So we're just gonna...
At least these aren't really being believed. Like, people aren't actually believing these conspiracy theories. Because what the heck?
Plow through this one too. The story goes that in the late 18th century, Britain had 162,000 convicts that they wanted to get rid of. So they shipped them off to the fabricated country of Australia, when in reality, they just drowned them in the ocean. Now this plays off the idea that the British Empire is a big piece of shit that did a bunch of atrocities throughout,
which we were, and we kind of are still,
its history, including Australia itself, where they committed multiple atrocities to the indigenous people who live there, including but not limited to mass killings, disease, violence, exclusion, they ruined their language, cultural erasure, environmental degradation, and child removal. Woo! It also leans into the fact that Australia was established as a British penal colony during that time, which, if you didn't know, is true. British people, if they had a problem with somebody, they wouldn't put them in a prison. They just throw them on a desert giant...
Yeah, we basically used Australia as a giant prison when we didn't have enough space for them, or if they were really bad, like the worst of the worst prisoners, the British, we thought that we would just go send them to the other side of the world. Literally the other side of the world. So sometimes, rightly or wrongly, I know this is a bit suspect, but when I see an Australian or an Australian celebrity, I like to try and guess what their ancestor did as a crime.
continent island full of snakes and spiders and said like, figure it out, king. British criminals would be exiled to the other side of the world and given harsh manual work. Wow, forced labor, crimes against indigenous people, all while expanding an empire? That's some classic British achievements. That's like getting platinum on PS5. That is, you nailed all of them. To this day, 20% of Australians are descendants of convicts. And honestly, I'm not sure which one is weirder. The conspiracy that Australia does not exist, or the fact that Australia is pretty much just British bad boys. Which makes sense. I love Australians. Sadly, they don't exist though. For Australia not to exist, we have to deny the existence of the crocodile hunter and the bloomin' onion from the outback. So those are both pretty rough for me. So how does the Australia theory,
The bloomin' onion is awful. It's awful. And they also don't even serve it in Australia. That's an Americanized thing they put into an Australian restaurant there.
counteract that? Well, they say every person you've ever met from Australia is an actor or is computer generated, which seems like a pretty big, that seems big. We're kind of just slipping into an alternative worldview where nothing makes sense, but that's pretty par for the course nowadays. But it's called simulation hypothesis, and it's the belief that the universe is a computer simulation. That can warrant an entire video on its own, but to come up with a computer simulation world just to invent Australia is hilarious to me, and I think I'm gonna believe this one, because that just sounds like a good way to spend my time and resources. Speaking of simulation, did you know that James Cameron spent over $40 million on special effects for the movie The Titanic? It'll make sense in a second. Unfortunately, all that sweet cheddar was pretty much wasted because according to my next conspiracy, the Titanic didn't sink. This one's actually really fun. I have a lot of—
This is true. The Titanic didn't sink. It was its sister boat. We're about to find out, but its sister boat sank, not the Titanic. Hold on, we'll find out.
fun with this one. It's not as stupid as the other two. And what's the base reason for this conspiracy theory? Is it aliens? It's insurance fraud. I'm telling you, it's actually interesting. Just wait a second. This conspiracy does include a sinking ship, but Titanic truthers believe that the sinking ocean liner in question was the Olympic. Both of these ships were owned by ultra-wealthy J.P. Morgan's White Star Line? What is that? Yeah, White Star Line, who in the early 20th century was competing with Cunard Steamship Company to build the biggest, fastest boats. But in 1911, the Olympic crashed into a military vessel. Whoopsie. Oops, you should have been looking out for them. Conspiracy theorists reasoned that, to recoup their losses and keep from falling behind Cunard in the Battle of the Big Boats, the company disguised the Olympic as the Titanic and set sail on a predetermined voyage to collect insurance money. Adding fuel to the fire of this conspiracy is the fact that the Titanic didn't allow public inspection before its maiden voyage. I mean, some of that's up in the air, but now I'm on board. If you are a rich person planning to do some and you don't let anyone see it before it comes out, that's how—
I think this could happen. This could have happened. Rich people do some evil stuff to make sure they stay rich. Whoo-wee.
It's like when a video game comes out and they don't do previews for reviewers. You know it's gonna be a show. There's only one glaring hole that makes this another dumb conspiracy. It's the money. Did you follow the money? The money doesn't add up.
Money.
The Titanic cost $7.5 million to build, but was only insured for $5 million. Sinking it wouldn't have helped at all. They would have lost $2.5 million in that time money. So like, I think $40 billion? I do like the concept. Maybe they just did it and there's math that I'm not seeing, but it seems stupid, but I do believe that one. I believe that one because it's fun. And it's such a long time ago that I don't care about the people who died. That makes sense, right? So moving on, no disrespect if you like Joe Rogan, but he does let some pretty whacked out people push their ideas on his podcast. But that makes the next conspiracy, known as Dinosaurs Don't Exist conspiracy, to be even more dumb because he debunked it on his show. And if Joe Rogan is debunking one of your theories on his show, you should feel kind of stupid. He's hosted paleontologist Trevor Vail twice, allowing him to fully debunk any notion that dinosaurs didn't exist. And not to get all high and mighty here, but to besmirch the name of the Triceratops is disgusting. Pooh, disgusting. Those sweet, gentle souls just wanted to eat plants and chill. And they died to a big—
Dinosaurs definitely existed. I think, though, there is a lot that we don't know about dinosaurs that we think we know. Like Jurassic Park made certain dinosaurs look a certain way, but they never looked that way. They never moved that way. Some of them weren't meat eaters when they actually ate plants.
Rock, and you shouldn't respect them. And by the way, who hurt you? Who doesn't want dinosaurs to exist? It's like a child finding out Santa isn't real and getting mad about it kind of behavior. But how did this conspiracy theory begin to spread? Who on Earth would have a lot of benefit by dinosaurs not existing? Who has a weird worldview that thinks the Earth started existing 2,000 years ago? Who would that be? Well, it's pretty much hyper-conservative Christians and professional athletes. And yes, I know, it is an oddly influential intersection between very uneducated people. But maybe it's worth going through a few of their points to see if, they have any any leeway to make me not hate them. Big spoiler, I'm never gonna stop hating these people. For starters, dinosaur deniers claim that if dinosaurs did exist, we would find bones everywhere. So the fact that you don't trip over a pterodactyl femur on the way to your car every morning means they don't exist. But that's not true because
I literally just said this. So I went to the Natural History Museum in London this weekend because we have family in London, and I questioned, not that I didn't believe in dinosaurs, but I questioned why are there not dinosaur bones like all over the place? Why are we're not finding them more regularly than we are? If you think about the Earth being in existence for 1,000 million years, only in the last 2 million years have we existed. So many other animals and dinosaurs that we were on this planet before us. Why do we not find them constantly? There must be so many bones. But then I guess fossil fuels, do they just turn into whatever we use for petrol now? I don't actually really know, but it is a question worth asking that he's about to answer probably.
if you're not a idiot, you would know that fossils are rare because you have to get them in a rare situation. Bones from over 60 million years ago aren't just laying around everywhere. You get that, right? If that were the case, bones would be everywhere. You know how many things die every day? You know what I mean? Bones disintegrate. That's the whole point. We're made of
Yeah, all right. Okay, I'm done. It's fine. We'll move on.
stardust. We go back into the stars. That's my religion. They also claim that since the term dinosaur was coined in 1842, that was when they were invented, which is supposed to be some kind of caught you in a lie sort of revelation. Honestly, I don't think I need, this is real dumb. I don't want to even dignify this with an answer. Just because something was named doesn't mean it didn't come into existence. Like, look at this big-nosed monkey. They named that recently, or at least within the last 50 years. It's right there, you know? We found it. We didn't have to dig. It was in a jungle, but like regardless, you know what I mean? It existed before we looked at. Do you have object permanence? Are you a baby? Are you a little baby? But at least as stupid as they seem, all these conspiracies are rooted in some sort of science. There's also an entire subgenre of conspiracies that only focus on celebrities. And we're gonna talk about those. And these are dumber than the last ones because there's no science involved. It's just shit people made up. But I believe some of them, so once again, I'm pretty stupid. Up first, Marilyn Manson had a rib removed. Do you know about this one? Were you in
Everybody heard this one. Everybody heard about this when we were in school. It's just somebody's older brother told them, and they kind of sounded slightly believable, so people just ran with it.
Middle school from the 90s to the 2000s. Do you know who Marilyn Manson is? If you don't know, Marilyn Manson was a goth-adjacent shock rocker in the 1990s. He scared the hell out of suburban parents across the country, and you know, maybe for good reason. This wasn't a very savory guy. In recent years, he's faced a lot of abuse allegations. Even the kids who listened to him were kind of terrified of him. And I get that. Look at him. That is a scary, scary man. And in this weird pre-internet 90s, a rumor started to spread from middle school to middle school that Manson, certified weirdo, had a rib removed so that he could put his mouth on his own... I can't say. I really can't, because I can't risk getting demonetized again. Things are tight in the Big Tug household. But could you imagine anyone going to such lengths to achieve that, especially a rock star? Well, I guess specifically a rock star. If you've had everything, you might want to try something else. But somehow, this urban legend managed to spread from sea to shining sea, and for nearly a decade, every teen in America truly believed that Manson was giving himself brains. And given the fact that he turned out to be a giant piece of shit, maybe this rumor was just some intergalactic karma coming his way. So just as an act of childhood whimsy, I still choose to believe it. On my heart, Manson's rib is floating around in some doctor's basement, and I really appreciate that. But that's just one in a long line of conspiracies about rock stars. One of the earlier rock star conspiracies came from the 1960s, when a rumor spread that Paul McCartney, bass player for the Beatles, actually died in a car crash in 1966, heading home from recording Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Heart Club's Band. I think it's very funny that Jimmy wrote in this script, Paul McCartney...
I've never heard this one. You look at him now, he looks like the same and sounds like the same Paul McCartney as before, so I don't think so.
McCartney, bass player for the Beatles? As if you wouldn't recognize Paul McCartney's name, and also calling him the bass player for the Beatles is weirdly not, I don't know, it's kind of like, I don't know if Jimmy was making a joke there, but it's so it's yeah, he's the bass player. You know, it just has a connotation to it. Anyway, the story went that the rest of the Beatles decided to replace Paul with a lookalike and soldier on as if nothing happened. But eventually, they were overcome with guilt and they started leaving messages in their songs and album covers. Now, it is true that Paul McCartney was involved in 2 car accidents around this time, but neither of them were anything major. However, that didn't stop a college student in Iowa from writing about the conspiracy in his school paper, which was shared with a New York disc jockey live on air. Soon, rock fans who were a little too drunk and a little too high started riffing riffing on the idea. Apparently, the signs were everywhere, guys. We just weren't looking in the right places. So in the song Glass Onion, John Lennon sings, "Here's another clue for you all. The walrus was Paul." Okay, stay with me. And this was a reference to the song I Am the Walrus on the album Magical Mystery Tour. We're all familiar. And on the cover of that album, the Beatles are dressed in animal costumes, and the walrus costume, which is supposed to be Paul, is black. And stay with me still. Black is a traditional color people wear while mourning the dead. Okay, not convinced? We'll keep going. What about the cover of Abbey Road? Conspiracy theorists believe it represents a funeral procession. I'm sure you've heard this. Paul's not wearing shoes supposedly represents how some cultures bury people barefoot, and John's white suit represents the color of the mourning in certain Eastern religions. George double denim outfit is supposed to be the gravedigger, which is kind of a reach, but whatever. And Ringo's black suit is traditional going to a funeral attire. So all of this is obviously insane and stupid.
They played into it. They definitely played into it with the album covers. Not everything there makes sense, but some things they thought they would just put little nuggets in for the fans and see if it got them talking, and it did. And Taylor Swift does it now with her music, but not about death. Obviously, it's more about her love life and things like that. She'll put little things in there, and it just gets the fans talking. It gets them going.
But the best part is, the Beatles are so influential to pop music that even their conspiracies are influential. To this day, there are still thousands, well maybe not thousands, but a bunch of conspiracy theories about influential dead pop stars. Like the Avril Lavigne replacement theory, which surmises that the singer unalived herself after her debut album and was replaced by a body double named Melissa Vandal, whatever. Or the rumor that Andrew WK was replaced several times by actors as pawn for the Illuminati. Oh, and that Katy Perry is actually John Benet Ramsey. Kind of in the same vein, not really, but that one's fun too.
That is wild. What the?
Believe every one of them. I don't give a f. But maybe the dumbest of all these music conspiracies stem from the New York Public Library. Their Schomburg Center for Research in Black Culture posted a photo online from 1939 featuring someone who looks exactly like Jay-Z. Exactly like that man. So the internet immediately lost their minds over this photo. This was back in 2013, so not only was Jay-Z near the height of his fame and power, mainstream pop culture conspiracies were still kind of quaint. Reddit and BuzzFeed, remember BuzzFeed, posted the photo asking people cheekily if Jay-Z was a time traveler. Even mainstream media outlets
Nah, that's a reach.
thought the idea of Hove as a vampire amusing enough to feature it on their websites. Like People Magazine's online article, 6 Clues That Birthday Boy Jay-Z is Actually an Immortal Being. I mean, People has never been the bastion for media integrity, but even for them, that's a pretty wild headline. So, what does this all mean? Absolutely nothing. Basically, we're getting lazy on the conspiracy front. We're just finding old pictures and shoehorning our conspiracies on top of that. Either they're secretly dead or immortal. It's 2 camps you fit into when you're a dead celebrity. Now, it's pretty easy to argue that a lot of the inspiration for conspiracies come from the unknown. We don't understand something, or we can't wrap our heads around it, like the evolution of dinosaurs, or Australian people, so we have to make up a story about it. We've done that throughout history. I'm not going to point to points that we did that because people are going to get really upset about religion, but as humans, it's helpful to make order out of all the chaos that surrounds us, which is why we have tons of alien conspiracy theories. Until recently, even just believing in aliens was enough to get you lumped into the conspiracy theorist camp, but today, nearly 65% of
Aliens definitely exist. I mean, maybe not like what we think of like Martians from like movies and stuff, but there are other species out there. 100%. Like how big the universe is, it's not possible that we're the only ones here. They definitely exist. Whether they're on this earth, yeah. I mean, have you seen Mark Zuckerberg?
Americans believe in the existence of intelligent extraterrestrial life. And you know what? I'm one of them Americans. I'm one of Zems. I really believe in aliens so much. But just because there's a high probability of intelligent life doesn't mean we figured out what exactly it is. That is, unless you're a conspiracy theorist. Let's talk about some alien conspiracies. They're also stupid, but they're a little bit fun. You want concrete proof that aliens exist? Look no further than redheads. Told you they're stupid. There's an entire conspiracy theory.
What the fuck?
That gingers descended from aliens. Specifically, that they carry the DNA of a giant race of aliens called the Lyrians, who were aggressive, violent, passionate, and rebellious. Some conspiracy theories link them to the
It is true. Oh, so violent.
Norse Vikings. And, I must reiterate, this is obviously stupid as However, there are certain things that are pretty weird about gingers. For one, it's very rare to have red hair. Only 2% of the Earth's population have it. Studies show that they also perceive pain differently, which is wild. They have a better sense for changes in the weather. And according to sex researcher...
I'm obsessed with the weather. Like, obsessed. Rebecca tells me all the time I should have been a weatherman. I might still do it. I can sense the change.
Dr. Werner Habermehl, they have more sex. and an easier time getting there. Now, I'm not sure if any of that makes redheads aliens, but it does make them seem pretty cool. So high five a ginger next time you see one. They're nuttin'. But I mean, we've talked about celebrities and aliens and, you know, science. I just want to do some of my own conspiracies. Some things that I've been working on for a long time. Some things that I've been thinking about for way too long. Because I don't know, I feel like I have a lot of things that I want to talk about, and I have a Twitter. No one reads that, and I don't have time. They don't give me enough. I don't have enough space. So I'm just gonna yell at you guys, and you have to listen to my conspiracy theories because these are real. Number one, the computer is God. Computers are God now. That's what God, he said the second coming. I think it's computers, or the internet at least. I think Jesus is internet, and because if you think about it, you go to it when you have questions. When you're worried, you go to this is the rapture. You know what I mean? This is the bad timeline. The internet was the bad timeline. I think dentistry.
Are we wearing the same t-shirt? I think so.
Is made up. I really do. There's no one regulating this. So you go into a dentist's office. My poor boyfriend's girlfriend had 1,000 fillings because there's this crazy dentist in my hometown. Just recent developments in dentistry ever. The fact that you have a bad tooth and they rip it out of your head. That'd be chiropractics, but you guys know how I feel about chiropractors. I don't need to go into that. I don't get that at all. I don't know how they're made of metal. They weigh way too much. I don't get
how are boats buoyant? Like massive boats. I completely agree. I know the science is there. I just don't get it.
Planes stay in the sky. Don't get any of it. And I refuse to learn. Paper. There's no such thing as a stale starburst. You leave a starburst out, it doesn't change its chemical composition. I think that the government is controlling our reproductive health by flavor blasting things, like flavor blasted goldfish or the Cheez-Its with extra. I think that's it. I think that's all the conspiracies I can think of right now. If you have any in the comments down below that you'd like to get out, let me know.
What's a dumb conspiracy theory that you really don't believe? Like that is so stupid. Mine is that people don't think birds are real. They think they're like government spies with cameras. They're not real. Anyway, this has been a great one. I really enjoyed Big Tug's videos. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe and join the gang, and I'll see you in the next one.
See me on way out of here too far. It's so pretty, little better. It's that I'm she calling me daddy. Walking on shit, trying to look like this. Make the color, ain't never made a swagger. Security bank. That BMG. Yeah.